For over 10 years, a few Americans have occasionally explored parts of Papua New Guinea, following up on reports of creatures that may be living pterosaurs. In 1994, Paul Nation and Carl Baugh, both of Texas, interviewed local people on the remote island of Umboy. In 2002, Nation returned with his son. They were followed by 3 other Americans in 2004. Why have these 6 people gone to this isolated tropical island? Why do they believe these reports suggesting pterosaurs are living there? Many eyewitnesses describe seeing creatures that greatly resemble living pterosaurs. These sightings are in many coastal areas of Papua New Guinea. On the island of Umboy, some of the descriptions indicate it is a flying creature with a wingspan of at least 20 feet. Ropen is the name for it on this volcanic island. I'm Jonathan Whitcomb from Southern California. I'm a forensic videographer assisting attorney firms in videotaping and editing video for legal cases. I received this footage from Paul Nation late in 2003, and we produced the video Searching for Ropen. Its purpose was to help raise funds for the 2004 expedition. Paul and I were hoping to go together, but his plans had to change, and I went to Papua New Guinea alone late in the summer of 2004. I found a translator in the city of Lae. Luke and I took a small ship to Umboy Island. This kind of cargo passenger ship leaves Lae once a week, stopping in Finchhaven for a short time. After an overnight journey to Umboy Island, we stayed in the village of Lab to rest. We eventually arrived in Gumlagan village and were warmly received by the local people who were friends with Paul Nation. They had been expecting us. We stayed in the home of Mark Cow. I wanted to hike up to the Crater Lake where someone had a Ropen sighting years earlier. Local village concerns delayed this journey, but we eventually formed a party of 6 and headed up the main road. After an easy 2-kilometer walk, we left the road and took a little-used trail through the forest. After following a stream uphill for a while, I asked about water on the mountain. The villagers told me there was no drinkable water on the mountain we were heading for. Obviously, we could not camp far from drinking water, so we decided to stay on a hill, even though Ropens were not thought to go there. I told the men we'd need some bait. Ropens are reported to be scavengers, so my hope was to videotape a Ropen eating a dead animal. Soon the men had caught a large lizard, which they tied onto a small tree. We camped in 2 tents, and the next morning 3 of the 4 local men returned to the villages. I videotaped insects and spiders. Luke and I put up some tuna fish next to the lizard. We needed more bait if we were to have any chance at attracting a Ropen from a long distance. Just before sundown, the men returned with bad news. The people of Gumlagan were said to be very upset with us. They did not want us to stay out there, but to return to them. Worse yet, there was a rumor that in the village of Taraway, a couple of armed bandits were talking about coming up to get us. We did not seem to have any choice but to leave the mountain early the next morning. We returned to Gumlagan by a different route to avoid the Taraway area. Within a few days, we were off on the main road again. We learned that Gideon lived just a few kilometers past Taraway. This Gideon was videotaped a few years ago. With a few friends, he had seen the Ropen in the daytime over a lake. Because of a communication problem, it was thought they had seen 10 to 20 of the creatures. We finally arrived at the remote village and waited for somebody to get the young man. Your name is Gideon Cora?
Yes, Cora.
Okay. You told them about when you went up to the mountain where there was a lake or a big water. All right. What? Ropen or something that came to the lake? Yes. Yeah. Do you remember about how many there were? Plenty or 10 or?
Only one.
What's that?
Only one.
Only one? Oh, only one?
We saw only one.
Only one. Okay. Animal is you call it Ropen? Is that the name they have for it? Ropen. Okay. Did it have a tail?
Yeah.
It had a tail, okay. How long was the tail?
7 meter long.
7 meters?
Yeah.
Okay. So the tail was as long as the wings were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. After I had been talking with Gideon for a while, I learned that 2 other witnesses were present. These 2 other young men were with Gideon when the Ropen flew over Lake Pung years ago. Years ago he went to Lake Pung with Gideon.
Look, Gideon probably Pung. Yes,
Yes, okay.
he went up with Gideon.
When you got to Lake Pung, did you see something unusual or strange, something you saw?
Probably Pung Mung ampe kandre Gideon imre. Yes.
Yes. Oh, what did you see? What did you see?
Mugampe. This is Ropen.
Ropen, okay. Okay, Wesley, are you a brother to Gideon?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And you saw, did you see the same creature, the Ropen, on the mountain by the lake? Okay. Do you remember seeing the end of the tail, what the end of the tail looked like?
Yes. It still look like diamond.
Like diamond?
And
Okay. Was the tail long or short?
long.
Long, okay, long tail. After these interviews, I returned to Gumlagan. My food, money, and time were running out. We did get a few more interviews, however. Do you ever see the Ropen flying at
Go
night?
and be lowly to mem.
Yes, milku before one para palay. Na mi kam kisim one para man long gomlongon ya long mat balong.
It's grave. You saw one come to the grave and. Nami bong? Bong. Yeah, in the night time.
Nighttime?
I some around 8, 9.
8 or 9?
Yeah, in the night.
Okay. Did she tell how high it was?
Ambi to nakon or na usal mo nakon same as like one that Joseph showed 100 meters above further.
You looking Ropen going inside the water next to
Tangare,
I'm going inside the water next to
point, yeah. Long night, me place in the stuff, and I'm fly.
Okay.
You go some piece now, and fly can I go when in the rain, I come one time.
Okay.
So was he at the beach at that time? Or was
yes,
in the
yes.
boat? Or was in the boat?
At the time you start the boat, now you looking more.
You start in the Laos.
He was at the beach.
Oh, the
And you
house
saw-
at the
yes,
beach.
yes.
Yes. Okay.
That night about 11 p.m. we are not expecting anything like a flashlight or something. But while I was paddling, suddenly there's a big light just shines on top of us. On that beach, it was all like just like a daybreak.
Daytime.
It takes about 5 seconds. 5 seconds, and then suddenly it was dark. You know, it's just like a shock. Huh?
It was a
There was a
shock.
shock.
It was a shock to you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Because it's so bright and it's so sudden.
that's right. So bright and so sudden.
During our 2-week stay on Umboy Island, Luke and I were not able to get any photo or video of a Ropen. We were able to get many valuable interviews with eyewitnesses, however. Although I did not see any Ropen, Luke saw one briefly near Mount Bell on the night of October 5th.